Is anyone alive out there? Does the chat work? Yes, it does work. Cool. Howdy. Let's see here. See if we can get some more viewers in here. Otherwise. What's up? What is good in the hood? It's a really weird smoothie. Your video you made on the road to Infinity War really hit me, man. So I didn't actually make that video. That was our guy Charles. I don't know if wow. Okay, so I guess I need to clear some things up. MCUExchange is a team of people, not just one person. I don't run the YouTube channel by myself. I joined around this time, well, about like 13 months ago ish. So yeah, I just do like the more like conversational side of content on the channel, and then Charles does all of the super cuts and, you know, the road to Infinity War Endgame, all that good stuff. He does all that stuff. I've actually made super cuts in the past. But there's a certain deal. Yo, what's up? There's a certain deal that Charles has with Marvel News Desk. So he is going to be the only person, at least for now, for the foreseeable future, who does the supercuts and stuff like that. But if I was given the opportunity to do one on the channel in the future, I would definitely take it. So yeah, because I love doing stuff like that. I've put a couple of them out there, not online, but I've made a couple. And in fact, if you guys want to see, I could possibly link one. What's your opinion on Far From Home? Loads of people hating on it because of the next Iron Man. I got the idea it's more of the mantle he has took over, he's still Spider-Man, you know. So I have not seen Far From Home twice since I saw it initially, which was over a month ago now. Yeah, because I saw Far From Home before. I saw Far From Home before July. It was like late June. I saw Far From Home, so it's been a minute now. I thought it was a good movie. I think I still need to see it again. In fact, I was thinking about catching it after this live stream, since I just have some time in my hands. But I did think there was a lot of Iron Man. I don't know if you saw my review. I put up a review of the movie on the channel. I was wearing the same hat too. I really think there was a lot of Iron Man stuff, and it kind of was annoying that even in death, he's still taking over, you know, Marvel movies to an extent. Like, he's not actually in the film, but, you know, everything revolves around Iron Man in this movie in terms of plot points, technology, everything, right? Peter's emotional conflict, besides the fact that he doesn't want to be Spider-Man right now, is the fact that Iron Man's dead and he's grieving over him. That's number one. Number two, Mysterio. He was an Iron Man employee and is now basically doing this because Stark fired him over the barf stuff. Number three, he's using all Stark tech. And then the Edith Glasses thing is just like Stark, you know? And it's really not. I think it's time, and hopefully this is the last time that they do something like this. I want Spider-Man to just be Spider-Man. No more Iron Man shit. Lord knows I love Iron Man and Robert Downey Jr., but if the movie ain't about him, let's keep it focused on Iron Man. I was watching a really great video essay the other day, basically talking about how it kind of ruined the movie for me to an extent, because his points were really good, and I could link it later possibly, but really good video essay I was watching the other day on about why Spider-Man isn't a true Far From Home wasn't a true Spider-Man film. But overall, it was entertaining, really unique action sequences, and I think the ending of the movie is going to set the character up for some really interesting stuff, and I can't wait to see where they go for it. Hopefully in the next month or so, we get an announcement on Spider-Man 3, because if they're sticking to that 2-year interval, we should have Spider-Man 3 coming out in 2021. So I'm hyped. Let's more Spider-Man. So what are your thoughts on Phase 4? So firstly, I want to say that a lot of the, I guess, like general public and everyone I talk to about it really is like underwhelmed. I understand you didn't like the Back in Black song. That didn't need to be there, but overall I liked it. Have you ever? Before I get to that question, so what are your thoughts on Phase 4? Everyone is hating on Phase 4 right now, and it's really trash that everyone's hating on Phase 4. And think about it, right? Nando V Movies summarized this perfectly. So think about Eternals, right? Nobody has any idea about that property. And either same thing with Shang-Chi. Well, those are really the only two unknowns in the Phase 4 lineup, in terms of them being like pretty C-grade properties. But the thing is, I think the reason they're going in this direction with these characters, because obviously it's not instant bank to make an Eternals film, right? But I think the reason they're doing this is so that they can focus on storytelling rather than world building. Because none of these properties, besides like, you know, Strange and WandaVision, really have anything directly to do with each other. And people always complain about why Marvel movies look so bad, why the colors are so bad. It's because all the characters have to cross over. And if each person who makes a Marvel film stylizes a film in their own way, when they come together, it's like, what are you going to do? You know? So I think that's what they're doing. That's what Phase 4 is for, is being able to truly focus on just great storytelling, building up these characters, and not giving us shit or origin stories. Like, not that Thor was bad, but, you know, it was pretty underwhelming. So we don't get any more Incredible Hulks. We don't get any more Thors, you know? Stuff like that. So I'm really hyped for Phase 4, especially I think besides Love and Thunder, I think I'm really most excited for Falcon and Winter Soldier. Everyone is sleeping on that show for whatever reason. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. Counting on it. So have I ever gotten a chance to meet any of the Marvel cast or crew? Technically speaking, no, I have not. So the day that Far From Home premiered in LA, I was actually in LA. And I was considering pulling up to the red carpet thing. Not that I had like a press pass to be on the red carpet, but I was just going to be like in the crowds with everyone else on Hollywood Boulevard. But the traffic was so bad. I just said, screw it. And funny secret, I'll let you guys in on how I got to see Far From Home. I was at an AMC at the mall. I was going to go see John Wick 3. And then I basically see that people are, I hear, you know, the back of my ear that people are in line for an early screening of Far From Home, just not at the actual world premiere, like an AMC early screening, one of those like free early screening dealios. I didn't have an early screening pass, but after the guards walked away, I kind of just walked in, found a seat, and watched the film. That's how I got to see Far From Home early. So that was pretty dope. But have I actually met a Marvel cast member? I've met a lot of people, honestly, doing video stuff and traveling, but I don't think I've technically met anyone who's worked on a Marvel film. I'm betting after Eternals there's going to be people claiming they've been fans of them for years, reading comics like people did with Guardians. Yes, a lot of people like to do that, act like, you know, they've been diehard fans for forever. Let's keep it real. Nobody really knows about the Eternals, nor gives a shit about them. But with the cast lineup they've got and the track record that Marvel has, there's a 90% chance that after Eternals comes out, everyone is going to fall in love with them. Now, I have no idea how they're going to handle that property going forward, based on the fact simply that they're characters that are set from a time period a long, long time ago. And I don't really understand what their place in the MCU is supposed to be, given that we have the Guardians, because the Guardians is not necessarily going away. It's only just the roster is just going to change. I think the Guardians franchise is going to stick around for a while. We're just going to get some roster changes. So I think Quill is going to be out. I think Gamora is going to be out, and I think Nebula is going to be out. But I think we'll get Rocket. Well, I think Rocket and Groot will stick around. And then we'll get some newbies. We'll get Warlock, we'll get Nova, and maybe some other unknowns. When do you think they'll introduce Fantastic Four X-Men? I mean, they technically already did. They just didn't announce an actual film, but they announced their existence, and we all know they've been working on it. I honestly think D23 is very early. That's why I hope for, and I hope we get more movie announcements at D23 this month. But I think it's a little too early. So we'll just see what happens. But as far as when I think they'll actually announce it, it'll if not this year, it'll be sometime next year. It has to be sometime next year. I feel like the Guardians have took the mantle of Marvel's first family, the Fantastic Four had. You feel me? I don't know about all that. Because, I mean, yeah, everybody loves the Guardians now in terms of just the general public and comic book movie lovers. But, I mean, they're a different kind of team, you know? I really wouldn't call them Marvel's first family. That's like calling the Avengers Marvel's first family, you know? Like, they're called Marvel's first family for a reason, because they are Marvel's first family. And it's just a really fucking big shame that we haven't had a great Fantastic Four movie yet, but I'm sure it's coming. Kevin Feige knows what he's doing for the most part. I don't want Peyton Reed to direct it like he's been trying to do. I really want someone else, because I just don't think the Ant-Man films are that groundbreaking, honestly. Maybe it's the way they're written, but I honestly don't think Peyton Reed is that remarkable of a director, in my opinion. So if we get someone else, I honestly can't think of who off the top of my head, but we can get someone else to do Fantastic Four. That would be pretty dope. I just honestly don't want Reed to do it. That's just my opinion. Who do you think should play the Fantastic Four? That's a good question. So, Brad Bird, that would be interesting. I think he's a little too G-rated for me. But Brad Bird would be interesting. So who do I think will play the Fantastic Four? So here's like, I can't say who I think will play the Fantastic Four because Marvel is really unpredictable when it comes to casting. They never go with like the obvious choice, right? Like everybody thought, what's his face? Dylan O'Brien was supposed to be the next Spider-Man, and that did not happen. But everyone thought that was like, he was like the concept art kid for Spider-Man as soon as they announced that stuff. I'm gonna stop using the straw. But anyway, I think for Human Torch, I think we should get Zac Efron. That'll get him his first. Be his first MCU movie, his first like really, really, really big movie. Not that he hasn't done big movies, but his first really big joint. I think Efron's got the chops for it for sure. As far as who should play Mr. Fantastic, everyone says John Krasinski should play him. I don't disagree. But there are probably others who could do the job. Maybe even John Hamm, honestly. He might be a little too, like, buff to play Mr. Fantastic, but as far as Susan Storm goes, not sure, honestly. Yeah, I don't know. And the Thing, that could be anyone, because it's CGI, so that could literally be anyone. What are your thoughts on Blades being introduced into the MCU? Did you expect this to happen? I did not expect it to happen so soon, for sure. Definitely did not. But I'm happy it did, and I'm happy they got Mahershala Ali to play it there. I don't think they could have gone with a better choice other than Mahershala Ali. He's got the perfect look for Blade. And that's why exactly when he walked into Feige's office like a fucking boss and said, I want Blade, and Feige's like, yes, because he can see what everybody else sees, is that he would be the perfect. Ali is a phenomenal actor. Let's just get that out of the way right now. I think Blade is going to be an instant hit. It's going to make $1 billion. Blade is just going to be great. I think Fantastic Four will join the MCU with Sword. We saw it in Far From Home post-credit scene. That could be a setup. Now, keep in mind, the Sword stuff, all of the Far From Home stuff was shot before. I'm pretty sure all the Far From Home content was shot before the Fox deal was closed. So maybe they could have done it with Fantastic Four in mind. But I don't necessarily think that'll be exactly how they get introduced. With all this multiverse stuff, I think that's how they're going to show up. Although I'm all for Blade, it bums me that it confirms now that the Netflix shows aren't connected. Well, I mean, technically they were, because, there's in every Marvel show, there's a reference to the events of the original Avengers film, right? So I guess they technically were, because I mean, Marvel does that sometimes. Sometimes and a lot of big like comic book studios do this all the time, where they will introduce something as canon and kind of backtrack and retract their statements after the fact. We saw this happen with the Thanos prequel comic. They first introduced it as a canon prequel comic, and then they said, nope, it's not. So the MCU has done this before. And the Netflix shows are dead, right? So it is possible for like, I forgot the gentleman's name, the guy who plays Daredevil, and Mike Coulter, and the rest of like the Defenders to come back and reprise the roles in some sort of way. But who knows? And like, it doesn't really matter because those characters can't be touched for the next 2 years. So we're not going to see Iron Fist for a while. We're not going to see Blade or Luke Cage for a while, Jessica Jones for a while. We're not going to see Iron Fist for a while. And that was perfectly fine with me. I could not even get through the last season of Jessica Jones. I swear to God, I tried, but I could not. It was that bad. I was able to watch Iron Fist, and it was a definite improvement over the first season when talking about the second season. But it was honestly, the way it ended was so weird. It was honestly in a funny way. And then Luke Cage, I don't know. I'm sure they all want to reprise their roles, especially Mike Coulter. I think him and actor who plays Daredevil. I forgot his name. Actor. Charlie Cox. That's dude's name. So Charlie Cox, I think him and Coulter have been the most like verbally adamant about wanting to reprise their roles sometime in the future, saying, who knows, anything can happen. And anything can happen, but we'll see. It's really been confirmed through a lot of external sources and just the whole TV side of the business, that Feige does not give a shit about Netflix or anything that gets put out on ABC, like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and that god-awful Inhuman show I didn't even watch. But we'll see. And who would you recast as Iron Fist if they do recast? I think it needs to be an Asian actor. It should have been an Asian actor from the start. I don't have a problem with... I'm so bad with names. I don't have a problem with what's-his-face. English dude. Finn Jones. I don't have a problem with Finn Jones, honestly. But I think it needs to be an Asian actor. Who? I'm not sure. Same man, Jessica Jones season 3 is a drag. Maybe it's because we knew it's canceled now and they won't join the MCU and we don't have a connection to it. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's like everyone wanted them to join the MCU, but I honestly didn't. I feel as though it would have been so weird to do, like it's the same thing as like throwing Deadpool in the MCU. You're going to have to, someone is going to have to change because these characters are not the same. Like, can you really imagine Jessica Jones being in that final Endgame battle? Can you? Now, they had Howard the Duck on that fucking, in that scene, right? So they could throw anyone in there, but like, that would just be weird. She'd probably get killed, honestly. Because, I mean, she's strong, but she ain't that strong. She probably would have got killed. She doesn't have any special tech or anything. When do you think we'll see another Avengers movie? What crossover event from the comics should they do? Secret Invasion? I don't think we're going to see another Avengers movie for the next 2-3 years, obviously. Definitely not the next 2 years. Let's give it like 4 years. What made Avengers great the first time is the fact that they took their time to individually, for the most part, introduce each character so that you had a basic understanding of who they are, why they're important, and what they can contribute in a team film going forward. That's what the entirety of Phase 1 was all about. And that's why Avengers was so rewarding and such an epic fucking movie. So I definitely don't want to see an Avengers film rushed, because Endgame was great, and it is called Endgame, right? But that doesn't mean I don't want it to be the end of good Avengers movies. They need to take their time, prove to us why these characters matter, build up a new threat as well within the movies, and then we can see another Avengers film. I'm perfectly fine. If they don't touch the Avengers franchise for 5 years, that's perfectly fine with me, as long as they're taking their time and they're doing it for the right reasons. And what comic book should they do? I think they should focus on new stories, because Avengers Endgame, for the most part, is kind of its own thing. It's not technically based on any real story. And I thought it was the story itself is so great. And I was talking to my brother yesterday saying that they should really make a video game out of it. I think they should go with an original story. I think Secret Wars or Secret Invasion, it's very ambitious, but I don't think it's needed for me. I'd like to see more original storytelling. Do you think Blade will be in the new Avengers? I don't think he's going to be in the new Avengers film. I think they're going to set up a different team outside of the Avengers that Blade will be a part of. I think that would be the Ultimates or whatever. The next Netflix versions were powerful in their shows, but I can't imagine them going one-on-one with Thanos. Exactly. Like you think you're gonna see Luke Cage or Daredevil running up to Thanos, he would fucking murder them. They're just, let's call it what it is. We all want to see everyone crossover. Everyone loves a team up, right? But they're just really, at the end of the day, they're B-level superheroes, and it just would not work in a big MCU film, especially something like Endgame. Like, no. I've been thinking Spider-Man is really all that's left looking out for New York. Doctor Strange will have a lot of work to do with being 5 years missing, unseen. That is very true. When thinking about it, Strange was gone for a very long time, and who knows what threats could have emerged in that time period. But at the same time, half of all life in the entire universe was gone. So when you think about it, it's not like, all the villains were left alive. Villains died too. But I mean, I'm sure there's gonna be more New York superheroes once the Fantastic Four is introduced. They'll be doing stuff. Well, I'm sure their adventures will go outside of New York, obviously. But we got Spider-Man, we got Strange, who really looks over the entire universe to an extent, even though he lives in New York. If anyone is brought in from another platform, I believe the MCU would have to inherit their storylines. Kevin wouldn't do that. Yeah, and I think instead of just trying to merge shit from basically other people's, projects, like, the Netflix shows and the ABC shows, let's just not do that. If they're going to do stuff outside of the MCU, let it be outside of the MCU. Because I feel like if they want it to be a part of the MCU, it'll be on Disney+. Captain Marvel may be, but I think she's out there still in the galaxy. Same for the Guardians and Thor, right? Hawkeye still needs to be with his family after 5 years. Hawkeye is going to be in a new show, right? We know that. Captain Marvel, she's going to be all over the place, and they're saying her sequel is going to be set in the past, more than likely, which I really don't want. I would much rather see her sequel set in present day, but I mean, given that there's basically a 20-year gap between her film and Endgame, there's a lot of story you could explore throughout that time. Cap and Bucky. Now, here's something I'm confused about. In Far From Home, they really made it seem like Cap died. Did Cap die? I really need an answer to that. I'm confused. He's an old man, but it kind of made it seem like he was dead in Far From Home. I'm not sure. Cleaning up all 3 Hydra Swords. Maybe Ant-Man and the Wasp, I don't know. Kind of makes it more intense knowing Spider-Man is all they have left, like the PS4. Well, I mean, yeah, but Spider-Man's a big boy, and New York is not, every place has threats, and in the Marvel universe is America. And I think Spider-Man can handle it. He's definitely got the backing in terms of tech. He just needs to get a little smarter. He's got Ned, his guy in the chair. He's got Fury looking out. Fury/Talos. Kids from Queen Soldiers, yeah. I'd love to see Blade and Morbius in Spider-Man 3. It would be cool. Here's the thing, and it's it sucks because even though we could see a Blade crossover in the MCU, but it's just so hard to make two tonally different characters match and sync up in a film. It's very hard to do, and I'd hate to see them do that and mess up, especially with 2 awesome characters like Blade and Spider-Man. Morbius, that's a Sony project, so no idea if that's going to be incorporated. I'm sure Sony eventually wants Holland to merge over into the Sony Spider-Verse, but honestly, I think he's chilling in the MCU just fine. I'd love to see, how'd you like the season 6 finale of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? Okay, so I have a confession. I might have only seen 2 full episodes of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in my entire life. And that was, the first one was in 2015 when they were showing a new Age of Ultron scene right after. And the second one was when they showed the Ant-Man trailer. Those are literally the only 2 times I've sat through an episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Who is the most underrated MCU character in your opinion? This can be based on arc, value in the universe, actor performance, or whatever you think doesn't get enough spotlight about them. Who's the most underrated? I honestly don't believe that any thus far, I don't believe that any MCU character is necessarily underrated, but I feel like there are plenty of MCU characters that are underutilized. But I am happy that I lost my train of thought. I'm happy that Disney Plus exists now, because this is the platform where they can truly explore and give so much, enrich, give us so like a lot of character development for our characters who don't get enough spotlight in the Avengers films and the team up films. And the main one I'm talking about here is fucking Bucky Barnes, Winter Soldier. You didn't know I was black? I mean, I've made a video showing my face like multiple times for like the past year now, but I guess if you haven't caught any of those. Bucky Barnes, I think, is the most underutilized character in the MCU. I feel like he never has anything to do in those films. You saw what they did in Endgame, right? I don't think he actually had any dialogue outside of the scene where Old Man Cap comes back. He had no dialogue in the final fight. He was just there. Same thing with Infinity War. Kind of the same thing with Civil War. He was just used as a plot device. They really need to work on, and honestly, this is a Sebastian Stan problem. Every movie I see him in, he never has anything to do. And it's frustrating because it's like he's in all these big movies, but it's like he's always just there. He's never I've never been able to truly care about a character that Sebastian Stan plays. And it fucking sucks because it seems like he's got potential, but I'm not sure because nobody gives him anything to work with. So that's why I'm super hyped for Winter Soldier, because I think we're finally going to be able to get to see what he can do as an actor, and he can prove his worth in the MCU, because nobody's really checking for Winter Soldier right now. Nobody really cares. A lot of people are pissed that it didn't go to him, that the shield didn't go to him. But when you're thinking about it, how much has he contributed to the Avengers versus Falcon? Falcon has been there since day one, He's not snapping people's necks and getting brainwashed and stuff, Which movie are you most excited for? I guess in terms of Phase 4, I'm probably going to have to say Love and Thunder, just because I love Taika Waititi and the work he does. I really like Thor Ragnarok. And I think bringing back Jane is going to be quite interesting. They better bring back Korg and Meek, because those two are hilarious. Yeah, I'd like to see them make Scarlet Witch lose it, like with everything else she's lost. Maybe just snaps and Doctor Strange has to stop her. That's what I think. I'm sure that's going to get explored during the WandaVision show. And I don't know if this was a rumor or just a theory I heard the other day, but I was watching some video where they were talking about a potential concept for the show, and that it might revolve around Vision not actually being in the show at all. And it's literally, think about it, the show's called WandaVision, right? What if the show is literally just about her having visions of Vision being there, and he's not actually there, and he's kind of in this, and that's where Nightmare comes into play, and that's how it would tie into the Doctor Strange multiverse movie, because Nightmare is going to be the villain. What if he's basically puts Scarlet Witch, Wanda, in a permanent, some sort of temporary nightmare or dream thing, where all she sees is Vision the whole time, thinking he's real, and he's not, because he's dead. He's dead as fuck. Question: who do you think are the new leaders of the Avengers? That's a good question. Cap is an old man. Stark is dead. It would have to be Sam. I don't think Captain Marvel is technically an Avenger. And I don't know what Black Panther, they really didn't address Black Panther and what he's going to do with the team going forward. They really left, in terms of the team's overall state, they left that shit just way up in the air. So, but I mean, I guess Sam, he's the only one of authority. Thor is gone. It would really just have to be Sam. Twist on the comics and have her say more miracles instead of no more mutants. Yeah, that'd be cool. Top 5 MCU movies. All right, here we go. I'm going to start with number 1. I think Avengers Endgame. It's such a thorough. There are a lot of plot points that contradict one another and all this stuff. But I think with the material they had, the characters in the movie, I think we got the best version of Endgame that could have been made. Honestly, That is my number one MCU film at the moment. Number two is honestly Infinity War. They're just really, really good movies to me. Really great like movie going experiences. And even watching them on Blu-ray. I got a 4K Blu-ray copy of Avengers yesterday. I was watching it, super clean. In terms of number three, I'm probably gonna have to go with Iron Man. Number four, I think I'm gonna go Spider-Man: Homecoming. And number three is Winter Soldier. Number four, Homecoming. Number five, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Good call. Bucky is kind of out to the side. He's a great character, though I do like Sam getting the shield. Bucky was a terrorist in the public eye. Exactly. Perfect. Exactly. I feel Black Panther needs to be in Wakanda 5 years missing. There's bound to be a collapse in the government. Maybe the tribes are broken up. You wouldn't be able to deal with the Avengers at the moment. So here's what I honestly hope for. I hope that Black Panther 2 is years removed from Endgame, because although the Endgame was a very cataclysmic event that's going to have a lot of consequences going forward in MCU films. I don't want all these MCU films going forward. I don't want the plots to revolve around the snap or the blip, whatever. That would kind of just be annoying. I hate when movies use other movies as a plot crutch. Is there a character interaction you haven't gotten yet or want more of? I would love to see Shuri and Tony interact. Yeah, and we technically got none of that. You know what's funny? Because we saw in the Infinity War bonus features, we saw Downey in a chair in a Wakanda-esque background, leading many people to believe that there would be scenes in Wakanda in Endgame. But when in fact there were 0 scenes in Wakanda in Endgame at all, like zilch. So I'm not sure if that was like a deleted scene, or I don't know what the hell that was. Maybe the background was altered. They were going that far to like throw people off. But as far as what I would like to see in terms of character interactions, I mean, we've gotten a lot of great stuff. I honestly think Thor bouncing off of anyone is great. We didn't get a lot of Thor Scarlet Witch. We didn't get a lot of Thor and Strange. I think Thor we did in Thor Ragnarok. As far as who I'd like to see as far as what they can do, maybe Thor and Spider-Man. That would be, I don't know how the two would interact. That would probably be an Avengers movie way down the line, if Hemsworth is still around by then. But I'd love to see those two interact. Because Spider-Man has talked about Thor multiple times, but he's never actually interacted with him on screen. But what I'm honestly going to miss so much is the Cap, Thor, Iron Man dynamic. They just work so well on screen together. And honestly, one of my favorite scenes in Endgame is right after Thanos shows up. 2014 Thanos shows up to the compound, and then it's just the three of them up in the rubble talking about their plan of attack. It was so comic booky, and it just felt like these characters have known each other for a long time, and they're like brothers, you know? And I'm going to really miss that dynamic. Yeah. Worst 3 MCU movies? That's a good question. I think number 1, least favorite, is probably going to be, if I were to name my least favorite right now, in no particular order, I'm going to say Captain Marvel, The Incredible Hulk, and Thor. Thor 1. Those are my least favorites for sure. I know a lot of people claim they love Captain Marvel, and the movie made $1 billion. I don't give a shit how much the movie made. I didn't like it. I didn't like it. I'm not sold on Brie Larson, honestly. I want to be. I totally want to be, but I'm not. You know. Maybe Hulk could lead the Avengers, as in as in not in battle, since his hand has been severely damaged. Not his hand, his whole arm, fam. His shit is snapped up from fingertips to shoulder. Maybe he makes the gear in the Avengers guy in the chair. Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do with Hulk. And Hulk has one more movie on his contract still, technically. A lot of people are forgetting about that. So we will see the Hulk again. But in what form? I have no clue. Nobody said anything about what he's going to do after Endgame. It would have just been too much to wrap up every single individual person's character arc. I don't think he's an Avengers leader, though, because, even though he's kind of got his stuff together, his life together, figuring out the Professor Hulk thing, he's just so much of like a pacifist now. It'd be really weird watching him lead the Avengers. I like Ruffalo, but I think it'll be time for a new Thor soon, or for a new Hulk soon. That's my opinion, honestly. That trio is amazing. There's this really great comic, Avengers Prime. It takes place after Siege, and it's when Steve and Tony first meet after Civil War, and it centers around Thor, Cap, and Iron Man. Yeah, man. They're just on screen. They're just such a great trio. You've got, Captain America is the heart. Tony is the brains. And then Thor is the brawn. It's just like the perfect combination. And I'm really gonna miss that. I'm really gonna miss it. We just have to cherish Endgame for what it is, as an epic culmination of their character arcs. Although Thor's character arc is going to continue, which I'm excited for. I'm ready for more Thor. As long as they don't make the next one too goofy. Because I thought Ragnarok, I feel like if they had made it a more serious film, just a little bit, it still could have been great. I think what was really missing I think what was really missing was like intense action sequences, because I was kind of sent off with how Thor was going to be when they first announced it. I thought it was going to be actually them traveling through space, fighting monsters and stuff. That would have been so cool. But not really. It was just Asgard, Earth, Sakaar, Asgard, and that's really it. But either way, it was a good film, and I'm really interested to see how they do this whole Natalie Portman thing. I think it's going to be good. And based off of like the little plot points they've divulged about the film, I think it's going to be good. Thor: Love and Thunder is going to be good. Now, if they get a solid villain, just like if they really nail a villain, I think you can't lose with that movie. Because Hela, for me, forgettable villain. Totally forgettable villain, It's like they don't know how to make, sometimes they really just don't know how to make you care about villains, and it sucks. Poor Thor, man. He lost Loki and he never came back. He's the only one left of the trio. He's been riding through the mills. Yeah, dog. Hopefully he trims that fat off and gets back to normal. And now his ex is taking his Mjolnir. Yeah. That typically happens. Exes tend to take things away. Did you like Fat Thor or Bro Thor technically? On the first viewing, it really threw me off. Like seeing it in theaters for the first time, it really threw me off. And it honestly triggered me that when he got his suit and like got all gussied up right before they fought Thanos at the end, ain't it some crazy as hell that his beard can be braided with his whole calling lightning thing, right? He can have his hair braided. He can get his hair done, his fucking beard done, but he can't trim his fat off. That's kind of weird. But otherwise, I really don't have a problem with it on the second viewing, and I really think they're just pushing the bound. I love that they push the boundaries with this character, and had permanent consequences instead of just like a 3-minute gag for when Hulk and Rocket first showed up to see it. I'm glad that they stuck with it to a degree, and they really throughout Endgame, Infinity War, and Endgame, they really embraced the humanity in Thor, and that's why people really love Thor now because of what they did. I think they're obviously going to get rid of Fat Thor or Bro Thor for the next movies, and everything will be straight. You know, are there any MCU movies you didn't like that much at first, but won you over after some rewatches? I'll say Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange was honestly a C. Was a C. You know, it went up to a solid B after a couple of extra viewings. Really, for the most part, that's pretty much it. After seeing the news about Jane Foster becoming Thor, it made me think, why would they bother doing that? Did anybody really like Jane Foster in the MCU anyway? No, but you have to think about this. Phase 2 Marvel, that was a different time, you know? Things were different. I think they're really starting to figure this out in terms of like who to pick to direct and write stuff. You know, it's not as studio controlled because I believe it was up until Civil War, Bob Iger still had a lot of control over those films. Not Bob Iger, Ike Perlmutter, that dickhead. There was a lot of during the pre-production for Civil War, there was a lot of back and forth between him and Feige about budgeting and all this stuff. The reason we didn't get a Black Widow movie for so long was because of Iger. It was because he didn't think they would sell toys, and that's where these franchises make a lot of their movies. They make billions off of toys alone. So yeah, that was kind of a different MCU, you know? So I think, and given that Jane Foster has publicly come out and stated, like, you know, I don't want to be in these films, I don't like them, and to have her come back, clearly there's something that she knows that we don't. There's got to be a really good script or a really good idea. There's just a lot of really good talent in the MCU right now that we didn't have in the past, and it isn't as corporately controlled in terms of like and all this BS he does. Man, the stream is so chill. You're taking your time to answer everyone and not rushing the questions. I haven't had this much fun talking. Yeah, man. I mean, I love these movies. I love talking about them, and I don't want to just like make quick little blurbs because then what's the point? The whole Mighty Thor storyline is so powerful. Her last issue as Thor, when she knows the cancer is one, and Thor says, "I don't know what to say." Jane says, "How about goodbye, bruh? Breaks my heart." I haven't read that one, but that sounds pretty freaking heartbreaking. I doubt they're gonna implement a cancer element. I think, honestly, I think that's probably a little too dark for some people, especially with the direction they're trying to take Thor in now. I don't think they're gonna implement the cancer element to it, if at all. And I'm curious as to how they're gonna do this anyway. But I think the way they're gonna approach it is they're going to have Jane Foster as Earth Thor, and I guess Hemsworth will be Space Thor until he eventually decides, you know, peace out, I'm done with the MCU. Which will probably, I think, I'm not sure if he'll stick around for Phase 5, but if he does, because he has a new contract, I don't know how many films, but dude's got a new contract. So we'll see what happens with that. Isn't Mjolnir gone now, though? How are they going to get Jane to have it? There are a lot of, just like any other Marvel movie, there's a lot of confusing stuff that you don't really understand. But then when you watch the film, it kind of all makes sense. Or maybe the first trailer when it comes out. I'm sure the first trailer is going to have to explain a lot. So we'll see. They don't start shooting till this time next year. But we'll see. I'm sure it will be multiverse related, or they'll just make a new one. I don't think E3 is dead, and if that's the case, they can just go over there and make a new one. I think it should literally be that simple. And to have Peter Dinklage be in the movie a little bit more, I think that would be cool because I like E3. I like E3. He's dope. Little big man. But yeah. Conspiracy Cats, hi. How's it going? We've only got about 10 more minutes in this stream, so if anyone's got any questions, get them all in. I'll try to answer them as quickly, not as quickly as possible, but the best I can. No problem, Conspiracy Cats. Endgame doesn't come out on Blu-ray until 2nd of September here in Ireland. By then, school starts again. Finale year, though. But damn, why do they do us like this? Yeah, you just got to find some time to watch it, man. Maybe on the weekends. Yeah, that is unfortunate. I've already got my Blu-ray copy. And if you, well, I can't do that, but yeah, you're just gonna have to wait. I loved Endgame. I loved Endgame too. Honestly, Infinity War and Endgame are two Marvel movies that I can watch over and over and over. I can't say that for Civil War. I cannot say that for the original Avengers film. I definitely can't say that for Age of Ultron. The Infinity War and Endgame are so freaking good. Like, if there's any superhero film to get an Oscar, it should definitely not be Black Panther. It should definitely not be Black Widow or whatever, Eternals. Or I don't know, maybe Eternals will deserve an Oscar. But in terms of what's out now, yes, I mean, like it's really honestly so crazy to think about how well they did those movies, how well these movies were done. It's crazy. They're so thorough, they're so satisfying, so much fan service, so much action, and goddamn Thanos is amazing. Even in Endgame, he's not in the movie that much, but his dialogue is just perfect. It's like you already understand him, right? Even though in an Endgame you're getting like a new, yes, we do have 33K subs. That is pretty awesome. Hopefully we can get some more. I really want to start putting out more content soon, but it's just like I have 2 other obligations. I'm a full-time student. I produce videos for 9 to 5 Mac. I produce videos for my own YouTube channel, and then just general life stuff, you know, girlfriend and friends and whatever. Gwen Stacy's an Endgame. That's what people are saying. Who is saying that? You know, people really need to just stop looking at these like fake YouTube thumbnails and and assuming BS. I know a guy who's into Marvel movies, not as much as like us, but I know a guy who's really into Marvel movies, and he's not knowledgeable about where to get true information from. So if he sees some BS video on YouTube with like a thumbnail of like, you know, some crazy outlandish stuff like Galactus, he's gonna believe it. That's just the type of guy he is. But you know, that's the type of guy he is. Gwen Stacy, which scene? Yeah, I don't think we need a Gwen Stacy. What they really need to do is working on fleshing out the MJ and Tom Holland relationship, because although Zendaya is a great actor, Holland is a great actor. Because man, if you guys haven't seen Euphoria, you need to watch that show. And I just remembered it comes on in like 4 hours. That is exactly where my ass is going to be, right in that chair watching Euphoria, because she is phenomenal on that show. So obviously 2 really good actors. I really think they just need better material to kind of make us believe the relationship, because that was probably one of my biggest gripes with Far From Home, is that Peter just liked MJ or Michelle out of nowhere. It came out of nowhere. Like the film starts and he's just like, all right, I want that ass. It's like, why? Like for what? You know, it's weird, because he had no interest in her in Homecoming. You know, she was such a throwaway character in Homecoming, and in Far From Home, she's a central character. But it's like we don't get why. You know, it's all about context. That's what makes shit good. If you can't understand it, if you don't have the reasoning behind stuff, whether it's good reasoning, bad reasoning, that's why everyone loves Thanos, is because they took the time in Infinity War to provide the proper context for us to truly understand his character, his intentions, and why he does what he does, you know, and just making him savage on top of that. That's why Thanos is amazing. You know, so if they can't do that for the next Spider-Man film with Zendaya and MJ, can you please do more of these on your channel? My channel's super small, and I'd feel really bad about myself if I only had like 2 people watching the whole time. But if my channel blows up, I get like 50,000 subs, you are goddamn right, I will do MCU streams, you know? So if you want to see more of these, guys, make sure you share, you comment, you give it a like, you sub, all that good stuff, and we will bring more of these to you. All right, I've already been talking to Charles, the head of MCUExchange, and this is supposed to be a weekly thing. So, barring no issues, I should be doing another one of these next Sunday, which should be fun. It might be at a different time, but that should be happening. Let me catch up on these questions. I have seen repeated. When Black Panther was nominated for Best Picture, I didn't think it deserved Best Picture, as it wasn't even the best MCU movie of the year. Thank you. It was not the best MCU movie of the year. Okay, so let me just get this out of the way. I am Black, right? So naturally, I am very happy about the critical and financial success of Black Panther, right? But as a film on its own, it's a B-, C+ at best. At least to me. It is not an Oscar film, in my opinion, and I don't think that opinion is ever going to change. Infinity War did such a better job of enriching all the heroes, the villains, providing, just like really clean, thorough, constant pacing, the dialogue, the comedy, the action scenes. It was all there. But the way it works with like these snobby Hollywood folks, even if a superhero movie is A1, unless there's some sort of like political aspect to the film, they're not going to nominate it. So think about it. If Captain Marvel gets nominated for like an Oscar or some shit, it's going to be because it's a female superhero movie. That's going to be the only reason why. That's the only reason why Black Panther was nominated. And I hate to say this, but it's because of political BS. It's a shame that that's the case, but that is. And I'm hating. I like the fact that a Marvel film, an MCU film, and Avengers: Infinity War did get an Oscar, just not Best Picture. But if any Marvel film of 2018 should have got a Best Picture, it should have been Infinity War. Yeah. I hope Mysterio isn't dead. Such a good villain in his message. Mysterio's all right. I think Vulture was a better villain for sure, especially like with that car scene when he pulled out the Glock on him. He's like, yo, listen up. Amazing scene. Amazing scene. But yeah, I don't think Mysterio's dead either. He'll be back. You don't cast. I know Marvel tends to do this, but hopefully they didn't make the mistake of casting Jake Gyllenhaal for one freaking movie and that's it. That would be dumb. Do I like the Raimi films? They're okay. I think Tobey Maguire is a bit of a wimp in terms of his Peter Parker portrayal. I don't like it, but they're okay. I haven't seen him in a while though. Man, your channel, if it's like this, I guarantee it'll blow up. Amazing work. Thank you, Ryan. You are the goat of this stream. I'm gonna give you a goat emoji right now. Let's see if I can do this. Goat. Ryan. The goat. Any Marvel comic recommendations for someone new to the medium? Would love to explore new characters and stories that haven't been done on screen yet. I'm honestly the wrong guy to ask about comics. I don't have the time to read comics, man. But you should watch Kinda Culty. There's a channel called Kinda Culty. I'll link his channel here. He does amazing theory videos. They're like 20 minutes long, but I can sit through them every time. He really has a lot of like interesting opinions on stuff. And he has a lot of comic book knowledge. Man, what Marvel Studios could do with Spider-Man Rogues Gallery. Yeah, and I'm glad they kind of have access to it. Marvel or Sony is like taking Morbius and Venom and doing their own thing with it. But from what I'm hearing, according to some stuff I've heard, some whispers I've heard that Kraven might be the next villain of Spider-Man 3. So we'll see. So if anyone has any questions, I'd appreciate if you could keep it short. Throw them in now. But if not, we're going to wrap up. I'm kind of already over the time limit, but I'm honestly having a lot of fun here. Can't wait for Craven. Yes, kind of culty is amazing. Yeah, his channel's good. I really like his channel, and I'd love to collab with him sometime. I'm sure he probably doesn't know I exist. Actually, that's not true, because he has mentioned MCUExchange on his videos. So he knows the channel exists, but I don't think he knows I exist personally. He probably doesn't know I watch all of his videos. Yeah, tweet at him and let him know that Miles digs his stuff. I'm going to have to do something with him in the future. It's kind of hard to do collabs, though, with other YouTubers around Marvel stuff. Is it true Sony isn't going to let the MCU have a Norman Osborn again? Again, great stream, man. Can't wait for the next one. You, the GOAT. I haven't heard anything about that. But Sony does a lot of dumb stuff. So in terms of their entertainment side of the business. So that wouldn't surprise me necessarily if that was the case, but I really hope not. I'd like to see Norman Osborn, but Spider-Man just has such a massive rogue gallery. They could really go in any direction, and I'd be fine with it. If we didn't get a Norman Osborn for this iteration of, Spider-Man, it's whatever. Which MCU TV show you're most looking forward to? I'm going to say Falcon and Winter Soldier for sure. And I'm glad it comes out next year. I am definitely the most hyped for that one, for sure. It's going to be a good one. Anthony Mackie, if you've seen his stuff outside the MCU, he's an amazing actor. Winter Soldier is an amazing character. Hopefully they give him something to do in this one if he's in the title of the show. Can't wait for it. Thanks for this, man. Lots of fun. Thank you. Final quick fire question. Give a wild left field prediction for Phase 4, Phase 5. Wild Phase 4, Phase 4 prediction, Phase 5. I don't have any wild Phase 4 predictions. Okay. In terms of stuff that hasn't been announced yet, I think Phase 5, we're getting Namor for sure. I think just so Marvel doesn't look like a copycat, they're going to give a little breathing period to introduce their water boy, because Aquaman was such a big success financially, at least. I thought it was a shitty movie, me personally, and that's not just me being a DC hater, because I'm honestly not Batman and like, some of the other characters. I honestly liked Batman and Batman v Superman. But anyway, I think we're going to see Namor in Phase 5, for sure. Do you think Marvel Studios would ever fully get Spider-Man back film rights? I don't think so. I think Sony is too smart to give that character up. Unless they get their hands on some other property, or Marvel, Disney eventually buys it back. We'll see. Because Spider-Verse did so well for Sony. I think they're going to try to hold on to the character and just continue with the sharing arrangement. I don't think we're going to see Spider-Man fully owned by the MCU for a long, long time. Me Too, overrated. What was overrated? I think, Aquaman. I think that's what he's talking about. All right, so I'm going to give it another 60 seconds. Anyone wants to throw in some last questions? If not, I'm going to head out of here. And I'm going to throw a couple of links in the chat. If anyone wants to throw me questions on stuff they want to see addressed. Most overrated MCU movie? Captain Marvel, for sure. People lost their minds over that goddamn movie. It was honestly so bland and not good. People lost their minds over that film. And underrated? Underrated. I don't think any Marvel film is underrated, because when it's a good film, people talk about it. But I think a really underrated film, I think Iron Man 3 is an underrated film. A lot of people didn't like it because of the Mandarin twist, but it's like, just because it's not comic book accurate doesn't mean it's bad. And people really need to break free of that mentality. Seriously. Someone's blowing me up. All right. So if nobody else has any questions, I'm going to throw my Twitter in the chat. If anyone wants to toss me a follow and throw me some questions to address for next week, barring new issues, like I said, we should be doing another one of these next week. And if there's anyone who makes Marvel content, drop your links to your channel in like the description, and maybe you could be on the next one, or maybe we could have some other MCU folks on the next one. It can kind of be like a group discussion thing. That would be pretty dope. But yeah, this has been fun. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.